I'm working on it, Robin. I'm really glad for the reminder. What happens to me is I'm always relying on Evan to say, David, start the YouTube.
Well, good.
Who will be joining us, so, okay. There we go. I'm working on it, Robin. I'm really glad for the reminder. What happens to me? Wait a second.
I heard that.
I have to do one more thing.
Have you seen Melissa yet, David?
All right, the YouTube is live right now. I was getting it also through my, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Is anybody watching the YouTube?
No.
No, I'm here.
Okay. I just want to see if I'm coming through.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Can you hear me?
I'm on it, David.
Yes.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Is anybody watching the YouTube?
Two people are watching.
Okay.
No, I'm here. Okay.
Hi, Rich. Michael. Pete, Michael. It's JJ. Lots of, oh, Jan, hi.
Hi.
Who's that?
That's the teacher from Charlie Brown protesting that Charlie Brown Halloween won't be on network television this year.
Michael. It's JJ. Lots of, oh, Joe, hi.
Somebody has a echo.
Charlie Brown protesting that Charlie Brown Halloween won't be on network television this year. It's Dan's microphone picking up his speakers, which are the YouTube channel.
Parking meter there,
Who's
Cap?
that?
Is that a parking meter? No.
Okay, that's gone now. Okay, great. John Quinnen, hi. For the various actors and authors here tonight, when we basically say it's the end of the evening, if you'd like to stick around for a moment and we can just check in with each other and say hi and thank you and everything else afterwards, that would be great. You don't have to, but it would be a nice thing to do. So everybody's put so much work into this. And
David, I see your background. I didn't think you could squeeze that many people into your family room.
They're only wearing masks.
Some of you have been in my house when we've actually fit this many people in the living room. Not a place for an introvert. So welcome people who are joining us who are audience members. You're joining 5 years of Trump, a few months in the making. We've got all of our playwrights and performers, sometimes the same, one and the same, other times different. Colleen, you're getting the meeting ID number. If they have the link, they shouldn't need it.
AJ asked for it. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Oh.
It's okay. So I just used it.
Hit Zoom like an idiot.
Colleen, that's a fabulous background.
Thank you. I have the mirror effect turned off, so I'm like, I'm actually doing that way.
I need that background. How do I get that background?
If you go to the donation page, this is the main logo, and you can save the image and pop it in your background.
Yay.
Idea. Good idea.
I'm here.
Do you have one of the, who, does anybody actually have the t-shirt itself yet?
No, so my I call her my work wife, but my coworker is working on it. She plans to have it done this weekend.
Oh, great.
So then I can ship it off or physically bring it to whoever our lucky winner is.
Yeah. Should we ask what size they are when we pick them? Or is it just a one size fits all?
I think she's making it as an extra large, so it'll be,
Perfect.
yeah, it'll fit anybody.
Yeah, a whole family, maybe.
Maybe.
Hi, Roseanne.
Happy birthday, Roseanne.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Roseanne.
Happy birthday, Roseanne.
Happy birthday, Roseanne.
Happy birthday, Roseanne. May you have many more.
Hello, John.
Mr. Quinnen, how are you, sir? You're muted, John. We can't hear you.
You're muted.
Muted, John.
Now I'm
As
not.
if anyone could
There
mute
you go.
John.
That doesn't stop me from talking.
There he is.
Hello,
I'm
Colonel Mustard.
I'm happy to be here tonight because I was actually supposed to be at a Zoom trivia event with Roundabout Theater, and Jane Krakowski was hosting. I was very excited, and I went and entered the Zoom thing and was told the meeting is at capacity. It's like,
Oh, that's awful.
well, I have this too.
Oh,
So I'm happy.
You're meant to be here.
Well, we're glad you could join us.
Yeah, thanks for,
That's fine.
Yeah.
thanks for having us as their.
Hung up. I'm sorry. I am here in the meeting.
Wait, this is being recorded.
Hi, Chris.
I am in the meeting, dear.
Hi, Patrick.
It's being recorded, so shirts on, nobody say anything embarrassing.
Okay. So,
Well, that's
so
the entire
David,
point of
right?
the evening.
Who's wearing pants?
Define pants.
I'm tubing over here.
Are mini skirts pants?
Wow.
Is that a verb now? Is it a verb now?
I'm tubing my own horn.
yeah.
Oh.
No.
Well, we
Wow.
always said you were a master debater.
Oh, we
There
are
goes my
voting.
appetite.
We are going to vote blue, so we might as well work blue, you know?
Ooh.
Donald
Whoa.
Duck in you. Wow.
Something's
Hey girl,
blue.
come over, I'm tubing.
Oh my God.
I just sent that to Connor Finnerty. Oops.
Something's blue.
FYI, I have kids coming on to watch.
People who are joining us.
What a horrible idea that was.
That's not going to last
Have
long.
you in the audience, 5 years of trouble.
That wasn't the wisest choice.
I
No.
want to warn Rich Anger that there's this strange
Well,
man
is it
standing
your
behind
phone?
him.
It's my clone,
Mm.
and he is strange.
Prestige situation.
Siobhan's going full Donald Duck. I'm going Porky Pig myself, so
Oh, David Cameron style, I like it.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
Hello.
I'm good. How are you?
I am well.
So excited to be performing with everybody here.
Yay.
And we
quite
with
a great
you,
group.
Melissa. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
in terms of the reaching out to people who might submit and things like that, it was actually people who just worked with us before for the virtual Be Seen and things of that nature, or Quarantine E-Theater. Various members of the audience, if you know people who want to see this on the streaming, they can go to the Quarantine E-Theater YouTube channel. Maybe I can even put that. Hey, Evan, would you remind me to stop the YouTube at the end of the performance?
I don't know if I can do that.
Somebody remind me.
Are you recording, David?
Yes, yeah. This is live streaming right now on the Quarantine E-Theater YouTube channel, and it records simultaneously. So, and shortly afterwards, it will process and available on that channel. So.
Crowd is gathering. Do we have lots of people on YouTube as well, or those who are watching YouTube?
It was like 5 or so when I just checked.
Okay.
Hello, 5.
Thank you, Bob.
Cat wants in.
Aw.
Nala!
Ooh, Nala.
Now put you
Lovely.
in. All right, guys.
We're working on getting voting rights for cats, and
Yeah.
I thought that's what the pussy hats were for.
oh
You
yeah,
grabbed this.
Oh,
that was no grabbing this.
Oh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
dig the shades, Evan.
Thank you.
Mm.
Crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
We have one audience member, F. Trump.
that would be Sarah.
I think that's Sarah.
Oh, it's not.
Oh,
Oh, I never get.
Oh, it is.
political.
There it
What
is.
are you talking about? I don't do that. I see Chloe P. I think that's my boss.
You better behave.
That's someone you have to
I got-
get mad for. Imagine.
I got so excited the other night. I saw a clip of Trump saying if he loses the election, he may have to leave the country. It's like, oh, please do.
Yay,
Please do.
yay.
Yeah, but someplace where we can't.
Icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Yes,
He'll-
exactly.
He most likely will go to someplace we don't have an extradition treaty with.
Exactly.
Right, right.
It's him or me.
I think there's
One
a
of us
small
has gotta
African
go.
country that will accept him.
Well, he can't go to Europe. He's pissed off everybody there. He can't go
Russia
to
won't take
Africa. He
Oh,
told
but
them
he
they
has
were-
a big bank
lived in a
account in
shithole.
China.
Yeah, he
He's
can
got
go
a
to
big
China
bank
or
account in
Russia.
China.
Well, he can't go to Russia because, like Mike said, he's been, he's pissed off everyone in Europe. He's been pissed on by everybody in Russia, so might as well.
You went there.
Oh,
You went there.
ba-dum bum.
That's great.
It's a sassy crowd tonight.
He's got a friend in Brazil.
we have a lot. We have a lot
He does.
signing in.
Venezuela.
Argentina.
He still doesn't know Puerto Rico's part of the country. Which is Florida.
Well, that would be
going through
one way
a
to get
great
it cleaned
metamorphosis
up.
this week.
He'd put in a golf course.
And then run that into the ground.
Yes.
You can't go to Africa or Haiti because those are shithole countries. So.
Oh, yes, you're right.
They luck out.
Remy, you went from one shithole country to another.
Jesus. Somebody's gonna follow him now and throw paper towels at him.
I think after this performance, don't be surprised if I'm being deported to Haiti now. If I get deported.
We've got the
Here,
timer now.
Jen. Olga's joining us.
Who's
Olga.
who's the narc that brought the cops here?
Well, we have a number of people signing in still at it's a little bit after 7:30. I think we should start talking about the event and launching it. I think that what you're seeing on your screen right now is some of our audience members are here. Audience members, if you could start shutting your videos off and muting your microphone. And we invite you to stay afterwards if you want to say hello to any of the actors, or we don't really have a moderator for tonight, but
Thank you.
but it could be me, you know. But
So,
I some of the
master of
you know,
ceremonies, Michael. So.
what's that?
Michael's master of ceremonies, but
He,
you know,
Michael is
moderator.
master of ceremonies. Welcome to 5 years of Trump. Sometimes people said, well, why are we saying 5 years? Well, it was just over 5 years ago when Trump descended that golden escalator in Trump Towers to a very small group of mostly paid, enthusiastic crowd. And what looked like a reality TV stunt became much more concerning when he somehow managed to get himself into the Oval Office. So that's why 5 years of Trump. And I know that a lot of my friends have experienced various degrees of thoughts and emotions concerning these last 5 years. And this would create some kind of an opportunity. So Colleen and I got together and we said, let's put together something where people can share some of their thoughts about what's going on through theater, which we're all accustomed to performing. Colleen, do you want to say some things about tonight?
Oh, sure. Yes, thank you everybody who's contributing tonight to with their artistic work and their monologues. And thank you to the audience for joining us. Yeah, so we decided to combine the event with a fundraising campaign for Biden, or I don't know which came first. I think the monologues idea came first, and then we linked it to the fundraiser, which we have up and running and is available for donations. And we are also raffling something off, and I'm gonna share my screen to show you what that is.
And while Colleen's looking for it on her screen, I put in the chat function, and we will do so periodically through the evening, our special Biden-Harris donation site, which also combines the T-shirt raffle. If I understand correctly, or something like that, like each dollar you give, there's one chance at the raffle. It's not like each donation, something to that effect.
Hey, David, could you let me share my screen?
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
All right.
Who can share? Wait a minute. No, wrong one. There you go.
All right, thank you. So this beautiful shirt that Sean Baldwin's friend, her name is Ashley Garland, and she has her own artistic business called Ashley Creates, is creating this. And if you go to the donate link, which as David said is going to be shared throughout the evening in the chat here, you can basically, whatever you donate, every dollar is a raffle ticket towards winning this really cool shirt. So please, if you have a moment, and we'll keep it open until Friday. We'll run the campaign until then, the fundraising campaign. And so you'll have lots of chances to donate and increase your chances of winning this beautiful blue shirt. And just another shout out to Ashley Creates. She has a Facebook page where she advertises her business.
So most of the people here are eager to vote, and they will go out and vote and everything like that. But we also know, and it's proven, that money is a way for the increasing the participation of people who will vote and who they'll vote for as well. So consider giving. They can use money up to the very last day. I can assure you of that. So as the evening goes along, I want people to silence their videos and audios. You might want to opt for speaker view. Most of it will be like when somebody's speaking, and if people are properly muted and whatnot, whoever's speaking is going to show up. if you don't do the speaker view, you can also click in the upper right-hand corner of a non-video participant is to hide non-video participants. And if you're in gallery view, you'll reduce it to just a few people who are on the screen. As I said earlier, you can stay afterwards to say hello to people after the performance. I haven't seen any unusual names popping up in here. If there's any Trump trolls that enter and they're disruptive, I have sort of absolute authority to remove people, and I will. And with that, I think we can begin our show. Michael?
Hello there. Hi, guys. First of all, many thanks to everyone that is participating, either because you're performing, you directed, you wrote, but most especially big thanks to all of you who are watching us this evening. We really appreciate your support. My name is Mike Schaefer. I'll be your MC for the evening. So that things don't get too heavy, periodically Rich Anger will jump in between pieces and try to lighten the mood for us. And as has already been mentioned, if you'd like the opportunity to contribute to the Joe Biden campaign and enter a raffle for that t-shirt that we just saw, you can click the link in the chat box. And for every dollar you contribute, that will give you one ticket and one opportunity to win that t-shirt that was, again, created for us by Ashley Garland of Ashley Creates. Okay, with all the formal stuff out of the way, we're going to jump into our first piece. Our first piece, entitled Business is Booming, is one written and performed by Sean Baldwin, and it shows that good business is a matter of perspective.
Yeah, but would you, blah, blah, blah. I hear what you're saying, kid. What I'm saying is it's just not true. We're doing great. Business is booming. Think of your portfolio, baby. Huh? My stocks, never better. Huh? Well, yeah, I mean, they were okay then, but yeah, I guess they were a little bit before. No. Look, what I'm talking about is beyond stocks, okay? It's the jobs. Under this guy in the White House, I have created so many new jobs. I got people working for me in places I never thought possible, kid. We've got a new office in China, a new office in Iran, of all places, and we're finalizing negotiations to open a branch in Pyongyang. I know, right? I didn't think it was possible. Not to mention that closing the Paris branch, did wonders for business. I don't know why we didn't think of that sooner. What was that? Oh, yeah. Of course, our current locations have never been busier. We've got record numbers of clients in the Middle Eastern region. That was absolute genius. All those deals he made drove more people to our doors than ever before, I'm telling you. And that's only internationally. Stateside, oh, baby. Stateside is incredible. Our California workers are burning it up out there. We have a load of new clients. We did a very successful recruitment event at a temple in Pittsburgh. What else? Oh, I've got this great kid out in Kenosha doing wonders for recruitment. There was even a drive in Vegas. Oh, you're going to like this. Listen to this. See, we've started a youth outreach program. I know, right? It was fantastic. We had this really awesome event down in Florida, the Parkland area. Numbers were in the double digits there. No, I'm not kidding. And just, oh, yeah. Sure, there's been strikes. So what? Oh, please. You think all that justice and peace stuff is really going to stop us? As long as this guy's in charge, we'll always have new work to do. More work than ever before. Oh, kid, I got to tell you, though, this last year has been the best of all. This guy was absolutely right. The country needed to be run like a business, one of his businesses. Because of him, these brilliant policies, guess how many new clients we have? Well, go on, guess. Higher. Higher. Come on, kid, you need to think bigger. No. Kid. Over 200,000 new clients. I'm not kidding. No, really, these last 8 months have been incredible for us. I've got more clients than ever before. Oh, my favorite part of all of this, though? We're not even done yet. No way, baby. We're just getting started. Once that new wave hits, we're in the money. Hell, even if it doesn't happen, I mean, I've got faith in this guy in DC. Hell, he almost joined us not too long ago. Yeah, I know. But no matter what, he's our best recruiter. A walking billboard. No matter what he does, he's going to bring in new clients. I just know it. What's on? Oh, yeah, geez, kid, I gotta go. I've got this event to... Yeah, you heard about it. Yep, I'm meeting some kids down at the border. You know, you'd be surprised. Because of this guy, some of them almost seem happy to see me. Yep. Well, talk to you later, kid. Remember what I said. Business is booming. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Yep, business is booming.
In What's Up, You Goofy Bastards by Mary Darcy, Jennifer Van Eiderstein relates to us a little something about an overheard greeting that slams home the idea that there is a new normal.
What's up, you goofy bastard? Oh, no, not you. Sorry. You thought I meant you. That's funny. That you thought you thought I meant you. No, I would never say that to you. I would never say that at all. Well, I might. I mean, if I saw a goofy bastard and I could tell something was up, but I didn't really know what, I might say, what's up, you goofy bastard? But I didn't say it. I mean, not see one. Well, I didn't see one either. I didn't see anything. I mean, my eyes were closed. I heard it. I didn't see it before I opened my eyes. You see, there were these guys working on the street outside my window. They've been working out there for weeks, just tearing up the street. Supposedly, there's this grand master plan to rebuild it and make it better. But for as long as I can remember, it's just been a heap of rubble. And every morning, these guys show up way before anyone should, show up. And they talk for a while, and then they start up the machines. And after a while, it starts to feel like the house is just going to fall down around you from all the banging and the machine noises that come from all the machines. But anyway, this morning, before the banging started, during the talking part, I started to wake up. I was in that dream state when you've come out of REM, but you're not in full on, I think I can take on the world mode. And your eyes are still closed, but the world is slowly making its way in through your ears. So my eyes were still closed and I heard it. This guy. I mean, I've never seen him, but I can picture him looking at his goofy coworker friend and just showing up for work in his goofy hat and goofy t-shirt and goofy shoes. And he shouts at a level that might indicate it was somehow later than 7 o'clock in the morning in a residential neighborhood. He shouts so he can be heard about half a city block away. And he says, "What's up, you goofy bastard?" And these were the first words I heard as I eased into consciousness this morning. And it was so random and weird that I just started to laugh. I mean, it was a little chuckle at first, but then it just grew, and I just couldn't control myself. I was holding my stomach and curling up a little bit like you do when you find something funny that maybe isn't funny to anyone else, but it's funny to you. But anyway, I was trying not to wake George. I was trying to let him sleep because he's just been working so hard. He's been teaching full days in front of Zoom screens and grading papers at night, and this was going to be his day off. So I really wanted him to be able to sleep. But it was too late. He'd heard it too, and he was laughing. He was laughing just as hard as I was. And then we started, asking each other, what's up? What's up, you goofy bastard? What's up? Well, you should know, you goofy bastard. And we're laughing until tears start streaming out of my eyes, until I'm really crying, like not haha funny crying, like you're laughing like you just can't help it, but really crying. Because for a moment, this ridiculous thing, this guy sounded like he was in our bedroom. This ridiculous way to wake up had just caught us off guard. Something so weird, so out of place had tricked us into feeling so normal, normal. Like when the weather is so beautiful, you head out for a walk and forget your mask because the weather is so beautiful. What could possibly be wrong? It's not like a sweater where you go out and say, oh, it's chilly, better go inside and grab my sweater before I go for a walk. No, it's not the chill that reminds you need a mask. It's the boulder, the imaginary boulder of reality that drops on your happiness with a metric ton of hard, stony, cold sadness smack on top of your good day. And it happens so often, there should be a word for it. Fake normal? Formal? Sounds like something else. Not that. Fakel? Yeah, that's not good either. We'll work on it. But you know what I mean, right? It's happened to you. You know it has. But all day I've been thinking about it and trying to remember when it started, the fake normal. And most people say, well, it started with COVID, right? When the concerts and plays and ball games stopped and we couldn't find hand sanitizer on the shelves and we had to wear an outward sign to show that we're afraid of each other. But if I go back further, there were smaller steps, things that became normal that shouldn't have. Sure, lots of people kept shouting they weren't normal, but they kept happening. Slapping the press around publicly, suddenly that was normal. Good people on both sides and people outwardly expressing their bigotry and hatred of each other. The conversation is about children in cages. Isn't it terrible, we'd say, again and again and again. The fights on social media, the unfriending, the blocking, the blatant discrimination against Muslims, against Jews, against people of color or LGBTQ, the shaming of people who were maybe trying to understand but needed help getting there. They say if you throw a frog in a pot of boiling water, he jumps out right away, like, here, are you crazy? Throwing me in this pot of hot water? What's wrong with you? But if you put him in a pot of cool water and turn it up 1 degree at a time, he'll get used to it and he'll, So maybe it didn't all start with him, with Trump. Maybe we were already in the pot. But turn the water up degree by degree over 4 years. And here we are. 4 years later. So, what's up, you goofy bastards?
So, a liar, a racist, and a sociopath walk into a bar. Bartender says, "What do you have, Mr. President?" And Trump lies so much that his pants must be made out of asbestos. Mike Pence is constantly worried that he's going to burn his lips. Did you watch the debates? I couldn't stand watching Trump lie, so I turned it into a drinking game. Every time he lied, I took a drink. I've never been so shit-faced in my life. Calling that debate a shit show is an insult to shit. Then there was the vice presidential debate. Kamala Harris was great, but Mike Pence was just all white.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to share with you David Quinones' TikTok phenomena in Who Broke It?
Oh. Who broke it? I'm not mad. I just want to know.
I did. I broke it.
No, you didn't. Tom?
Don't look at me. Look at Ben.
What? I didn't break it.
Huh, that's weird. How'd you even know it was broken?
Because it's sitting right in front of us and it's broken.
Suspicious.
No, it's not.
If it matters. Probably not, but April was the last one to use it.
Liar, I don't even drink that crap.
Oh, really? Then what were you doing by the coffee cart earlier?
I used the wooden stirrer to push back my cuticles. Everyone knows that.
Okay,
Jerry.
okay, let's not fight. I broke it. Let me pay for it, Ron.
No. Who broke it?
Ron, Don has been awfully quiet.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh my God.
Don,
I broke it. It burned my hand, so I punched it. I predict 10 minutes from now, they'll be at each other's throats with war paint on their faces and a pig head on a stick.
Melissa Putterman Hoffman shares with us obit 159,323, written by Robin M. McDuffie.
Michael James Boson passed on August 8th, 2020 at 4:23 a.m. at Mercy Hospital. May he rest in peace. My Mikey. He never had a chance. Not really. He wasn't sick or infirm in any way at all, but the virus picks and chooses and chose to take him, and so he died. And so the light of my life has gone out. He died alone. I want to stress this. Mike died absolutely alone. We weren't allowed by his bedside. No kisses, no hugs goodbye. I didn't even know he died. I just called in one morning, a regular check-in call, and the nurse told me he died alone, helpless. I know. I read the stuff on the internet. I saw the pictures, all those tubes. Those tubes haunt my dreams. Poor Mike, my poor baby. Well, obviously, most people say the virus killed Mike. But the not so obvious fact is the virus was just the cause of death, not the true killer. Oh, I want you to understand this. Mike's death was unnecessary. Unnecessary. He didn't have to catch the disease that killed him. It's this part that completely destroys me. Mike was killed by his fellow human beings. Reckless people guilty of manslaughter. People with blood on their hands, too selfish to wear a mask, too self-obsessed to give up their so-called right to decide whether or not to stop the spread of sickness, too precious to admit that the virus even exists. These people say the virus is a hoax, some conspiracy dreamed up by Bill Gates to insert microchips through a vaccine, or maybe by Obama and Pelosi to make Trump look bad. Trump's so-called hoax is itself a conspiracy, a blind refusal to see that something killed Mike. Well, something and someone killed Mike. Heartless. So you people refusing to wear masks, you killed him. You know who you are. Shame on you. I believe that when you come right down to it, Trump killed Mike. I'm not afraid to say Trump is a killer. He knows he did it. Trump, slow to act, always denying the truth, the leader of hate and lies, the champion of people refusing to wear masks. He works hard to downplay the virus because otherwise he'd have to accept responsibility for it. Culpability, they call it. Clearly, he couldn't do that. That would be unthinkable. Maybe if he got sicker, maybe things would change. But I doubt it. Somehow he'd figure out a way to make himself look stronger than the virus. But do you want to know the kicker? The punch to my gut and the guts of everyone like me who've lost loved ones to COVID so far. We did it. Mike and I voted for Trump 4 years ago by absentee ballot. I know, unbelievable. Like all our independent friends, we thought Hillary couldn't possibly lead or build the necessary bipartisan bridges when the country was so clearly divided over her candidacy. But now people are more divided than ever. Oh, how I wish I could go back and tell my 4-year younger self and all my friends the answer to the question, how much harm could he do? A lot. We didn't know Trump would get rid of the task force whose job was to prepare for pandemics. Would Mike still be alive if Hillary were president? Maybe I'm being silly, but I think he would be. Hillary wouldn't have messed with lives this way. And Mikey, he was as strong as an ox, as straight as an arrow, a volunteer firefighter for years in our little town. He was a good guy. He wore that mask proudly, as if he had the virus and believed no one else should get it from him. He had a heart of gold. He did everything right he was supposed to do. We both did. But COVID didn't take Mike. It really took him. I'll never forgive myself for that. My neighbors a few doors down have a big yard where they've planted a number of flags on poles. They take them in when it rains. True Trumpsters. One of the flags reads, Trump 2020, no more bullshit. Ha! Another reads, Trump 2020, your feelings, really. Another reads, God bless America. Who's America? That makes me grit my teeth, even though I know it's meant to tick off the liberals. But here's the thing. I vote for the person I think will do the best job for the country, the best job for me and my family. Who I don't vote for are people who lack decent human values, and I don't support candidates who bullshit me. I won't vote for Trump again precisely because of the bullshit, because this is how I see it now. Trump is just the kind of person who claims something is happening to him when in reality, he's doing it himself. He claims the Democrats are trying to steal the election through mail-in voting, so his agent shuts down the post office to steal the election from them, just like he did 4 years ago with Russia's help. The mail sorting machines are already in the dumpster. I've seen the pictures. And he doesn't care who he hurts, just as long as he wins. He only cares about himself, not about me, not about you. Mikey didn't deal in bullshit. And he cared about my feelings. He cared about his fellows, bless his soul. Now he's gone. Mike is survived by 3 children and 8 grandchildren. And me, I miss him so much. But we have to realize that so many people have died at this point. Nothing makes Michael James Boson special except to those who mourn his passing. People like those 8 grandchildren who'll never get to know such a good man. And while last time Mike voted for Trump, he won't be voting for Biden this time because Mike's dead. Trump killed him. Maybe that was the point all along.
As shown to us by Laura Graver, a family conversation makes a woman think twice about her voting in this introspection by J.J. Buckner entitled Blind.
I remember the day he came riding down the golden escalator. I'm not a political person by any stretch of the imagination. I vote. I'm a Democrat. I live in New York, so I vote blue. It's just what you do. I mean, people like me vote blue. I'm an artsy person. I know right from wrong, and I was raised to treat everyone equally. I listened to Trump's first speech, and I brushed it off. My roommate forced me to watch the debates. I figured there was no way he could win. My roommate was a huge Bernie supporter, and I was just a Democrat. As the debates kept going one by one, the Republicans kept dropping like flies, and then it happened. He won the nomination. Hillary won her nomination. I thought, well, I guess he's not winning. I stopped watching the debates, even though my roommate kept hounding me to keep watching. I couldn't. I had nothing vested into the 2016 election. As I look back, I never had anything vested in any election. I just voted. In October of 2016, I was at my family's house for dinner. I never bring up politics because my family and I are very different. Like I said, they raised me to treat everyone equally, but I noticed a recent shift in their tone. My brother said, "It's crazy that when Trump speaks, I say to myself, wow, that's what's been on my mind for a long time. He's saying what I'm thinking." I felt a pit in my stomach. I know I should have said something. I just kept saying to myself, open your mouth, say something. Then it happened. My sister-in-law said, "Well, I don't know about Trump, but as a woman, I could never vote for Hillary, not after she stayed with her husband." Without thinking, I said, "What about the grab them by the pussy thing?" You could hear a pin drop. My mother looked at me with a look I'd never seen and repeated what so many people have said before. "Don't be an idiot. That's just locker room talk." At that moment, I knew I was in the minority. And I said, "You're right. Let's just drop it." I don't remember driving home that night. Was I wrong? Is voting blue just because I live in a blue state right? It was too much for me to process. I just put it out of my mind. As election day was getting closer, most of the women in my office had the same view as my mom, except my cube mate, June. She was always quiet, but very nice to me. She never really had an opinion on anything political, but I noticed one day she was wearing a Hillary pin. One of our office mates walked up to her and said, "You know it clearly states in the employee handbook that you can't wear political pins or display anything political on your desk, right? We all got a handbook the day we started. Did you read it or did you just put it in your desk drawer?" She responded timidly, "I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. My daughter gave it to me." The coworker walked away mumbling something under her breath. A little while later, June was called into the conference room. When she walked out, her face was as white as a ghost, and her pin was gone. The woman who had said something to her just grinned as June took the long walk back to her desk. My coworkers just stared at her like she was a prisoner walking to her death. She sat down and I heard a small, muffled sniffle as she pulled a tissue from her Kleenex box and just continued to work. Again, I said nothing. June, who was already a quiet person, was forced to become quieter, if not silent. On election day, I left work early to vote. As I stood up to leave, June turned to me and said with a big smile and a glimmer of hope in her eyes, "I'll see you tomorrow, Randy." As I was driving to my polling place, there were so many voices in my head. 1 block away, there was a red light. All I had to do was turn right. The light turned green, and I kept driving. I didn't vote. To this day, I still don't know why I didn't vote. I got to my apartment and my roommate was there. She was excited because she was so optimistic about election night. She eagerly said, "Did you have any trouble voting?" "No," I said. "I got right in." She was having friends over to watch the results. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat with them. As the night went along, the mood got darker and darker until one by one her friends started leaving, until it was just us. I didn't know what to say. She silently turned off the TV and went to bed. Now here I am, sitting home, quarantined alone. I don't have a roommate anymore. My dreamer roommate, who was so excited to vote in the 2016 election for the first time since being naturalized, moved back to California to be with her family. Some of her relatives are gone, deported. I'm all alone. I don't see anyone except for the 2 days a week I go into my office. My cube mate is on opposite days as me, so I don't get to see her as much. Yesterday, I overheard the woman who turned her in about her pen talking to a supervisor. Isn't it so sad about June's daughter? My cube mate's daughter went to a protest and was hit with a rubber bullet on the side of her head. She's alive, but completely blind. Blind. I had a hand in that. I had a hand in my roommate's family situation. Blind. I don't care who you vote for. Vote. It's your civic duty. Not voting is a slap in the face to the people who fought, who were jailed, and who died for your right to vote. When I was a kid, I was always taught to treat people equally, but I was also taught to always remember an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Ironically, an article came up on my Facebook feed about that quote and how people were discussing if it was Gandhi or Picasso who responded to that quote, and how people said neither of them responded to it. It was a boring read. I couldn't find either responses. Then there it was. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Blind.
Written and performed by Janice Waltz, Trump from the Couch allows us to overhear a woman's session with her therapist.
Hello, doctor. Yes, how are you doing today? Glad to hear it. Gosh, how long have we been meeting like this? I feel like I've worn out your couch. What's on my mind today? Oh, gosh, I hate to say it, but it's the same thing that brought me here in the first place. I feel like Trump is stalking me because I'm a white, college-educated, suburban housewife, but he is so rude and crude. Have you ever listened to him in one of his rallies? He lies all the time. And did you see the first presidential debate? Oh, he constantly interrupted Biden, and poor Chris Wallace. Trump is such a bully. Yes, I do understand what it's like to be bullied and how people can be made afraid to confront a bully. I told you, we moved around a lot because my dad was in the Navy, and shit, geez, I think the only classmate's name I remember from my early childhood is this guy named Fred Cavallero. Especially one incident. I was in 6th grade, new kid on the block again. And he used to call me a name. I don't ever repeat it because it is that bad. And I was a cheerleader and he was really short, so he could only be a manager, you know, like he brought the water bottles. But he was a new kid too, so he picked on me. So one day this Fred starts calling me this name as I'm going on to cheer in the field. And then he called me that name again when I came off the field. And this time I had had enough. And I chased him around that schoolyard. I followed him right into the men's bathroom. And he was in a stall, and I am pounding on that stall. And I yelled with my best cheerleading voice, "Don't you ever call me Skag again, or I'll rip out your goddamn balls." Apparently he believed me because he never called me that hurtful name again. And one of the reasons I visit you, doctor, is that if I saw Trump in person, I would be tempted to do just that. And besides his balls, I would rip out his lying tongue. He's lied about the wall and the healthcare and his tax cut. He knew the dangers of COVID and he lied about them. He is a liar, that Trump. One big fat liar and a bully. Oh, sure. We can take that peaceful pause for a moment. Oh, are you going to start that tape with the waterfalls on it? I mean, that one leads people to their quiet place. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I feel a lot calmer now. Thanks. Thanks. Our poor CDC people. Poor Dr. Fauci. Oh my gosh. Wow. Trump is brutal on him. Do you know Fauci? I mean, you guys are both in the medical field. I mean, I thought all you guys kind of knew each other. I mean, that would be cool. Oh, you don't. Oh. Okay, yeah, sure. We can discuss something else. Yeah. But how can I discuss Trump? Something other than Trump when he is after me for my vote. Look at the harm that Trump has done to our institutions and the people's confidence in them, and our free press and the actual voting process, and all he talks, oh no, screams about is fraud in the mail-in votes. Telling his followers to oversee the process. There's no evidence of fraud. Oh gosh, funny. The only time he believes that COVID exists and is harmful is when some pillow guy, that guy, or some other really quacky weirdo tells him about some unproven cure. Then he believes in it. Otherwise, the fact that over 200,000 Americans have died is not a concern to him because it's all a hoax. And it'll disappear into the wind soon. That way of thinking won't change the fact that my friend Bonnie has lost 5 friends to this disease. 5 of her friends. 5 people who had families, and now there's a vacant hole there. And these people were nurses, and they were in the hospital saving people's lives. Bonnie thinks they didn't get good coverage. They didn't have enough PPE, and we still don't. And we're going into another rise in disease. And don't get me started on testing or the lack of it. He's got no respect for the people he serves, but he's the wartime president. But he turns everything over to the governors, and they have to battle it out. And then he teases them if they wear masks. Well, yes, doctor. I do think of other things besides Trump. I think about breathing in and breathing out, just like you told me. I think about drinking a lot of water. That's good for us. But we better do it quickly because Trump is, getting rid of the regulations on clean air and clean water. I think of traveling. I miss it. But I can't do another cruise until COVID time is over. And by the time things calm down and I can actually do a river cruise, half the places I want to go see are going to be underwater. I mean, think of poor Venice, even Miami. Oh my gosh. No, we don't need to go to a quiet place again. I'll just do the breathing in and out. We can't take any more of this. This guy must be voted out of office in November. But he said he might not accept the results. I mean, doesn't he have to leave office? I mean, we can't have 4 more years of Trump as president. And I don't want to like him. And hopefully, no white, college education, suburban housewife will vote for him this year because we know who he is. Hopefully, we'll be smarter than we were 5 years ago. I mean, you know, I won't be able to afford you after he takes out our health care. And what if he's got 4 more years of rallies on the White House lawn, like it's his property, not ours? And what if he makes it into a golf course? What if he forces everybody to wear red MAGA caps? And what if he continues to deny science? What if... Oh, sure, Doc. There's enough room for you on your couch.
So Trump claims that he's a stable genius. I think that this is an insult to the other horses in the stable. He's about as stable as Kanye West, but without the talent. You know, if Stephen Hawking was still around, he'd roll over in his wheelchair.
So what we have is David Quinones again. This was probably done right after the first debate. We've got another one coming up tomorrow.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Many thanks to those of you that had made your contribution so far tonight. We have raised $249. Fantastic, and many thanks to all of you. If you'd like to contribute to the Joe Biden campaign and get yourself a chance to win our custom t-shirt, our custom Will You Shut Up Man t-shirt designed for us by Ashley Garland, click on the link that's in the chat box and contribute via Act Blue. Again, every dollar you contribute is another chance for you to win the t-shirt. Moving on to another piece, as performed by Mary Darcy, To My Conservative Father, shows us the turmoil of feelings when we find out that the people we idolize may not be the people we thought they were.
Dear Dad, you have always been my hero. Sure, every good dad is his little girl's hero, but even as I grew up, you never stopped saving me. When I got a flat tire at 2 a.m., you drove half an hour to rescue me with your AAA card. And now you check my tire pressure almost every time I see you. You've been my pre-dawn Uber to the airport for business trips, and you always make sure I have a little cash before I travel. Once when my back door was broken, you snuck over and fixed it early in the morning so that everything would be all better by the time I woke up. You've been the perfect dad. Maybe you look back and see mistakes, but I never did. Donald Trump took that from me. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic, but well, it's everything that's happened since he crashed into politics that has shattered my perception of you. Though I guess if I'm being fair, I should also blame Hillary Clinton. Then Barack Obama. Then Colin Kaepernick, the Republican Party, Black Lives Matter, the NRA, the NFL, and probably more than anyone else, I should blame Facebook. Because if it weren't for Facebook and all of the others, I might have gone my whole life without finding out that my father isn't perfect. How do I put this? You're a meme guy, Dad. I mean, you share a lot of memes. I mean, a lot. And I know you're retired at all, but you are relentless with those things. And the memes you share, they surprise me. They scare me. And they hurt me. Oh, I know. Typical snowflake, right? But I'm not melting because I can't stand a difference of opinion. I'm tough enough to hear the things I disagree with and not fall apart. You taught me that. I'm hurting because the things that you share, they make you someone I don't know. See, the version of you that I'm friends with on Facebook, he spreads lies and hate, and he shares vicious attacks whose whole purpose is to enrage and divide people. He's helping to undermine our collective sense of reality. Are you really that person? I just can't make sense of the two people you seem to be, the incredible father I've known my entire life, and a man who thinks Kamala Harris is the villain in the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. Whoever that second man is, I'll tell you, he absolutely hates me. Because I'm a liberal. Or as your memes would call me, a socialist who hates America and is trying to ruin the country. Is that what you really think? Do you really believe all the awful things you share? I honestly don't know, because we don't talk about politics face to face, except for that once. Ugh. I remember we were having dinner at an Outback Steakhouse, you and Mom and I, and a football game was on. And in the middle of a bloomin' onion, out of nowhere, you said, they're losing a lot of money over this kneeling business. And without thinking, I looked you straight in the eye and said, you know, this has nothing to do with the military, right? It's not an attack on veterans. Come on, Dad, you're too smart to believe that propaganda. You didn't respond. And Mom, as gracefully as possible, changed the subject. But I will never forget that look on your face. It was a rage I almost didn't recognize. I felt terrible, guilty because I know how much being in the service meant to you, and ashamed for insulting you when you've been so good to me. That was the moment I made a promise to myself never to disrespect you over politics again. But being your friend on Facebook has tested that promise every day. I want so badly to argue with you. I want to point out the logical errors and the outright lies in the things that you post. But I won't fight with you in front of your friends. I don't want to fight with you at all. Instead, I stay quiet. Okay, sometimes I react with passive-aggressive, inappropriate emojis, but mostly I bite my tongue and just drive angry or lie awake restless, wondering how on earth one of the people who helped teach me right from wrong can see the world so differently than I do. The thing I keep coming back to, ironically, is the dress meme. Do you remember that dress that blew up the internet? Everyone was arguing over whether or not it was white and gold or black and blue. I think right now, America is that dress. And we're all looking at the same thing, but we can't agree on what's true. I wish that we could see the same colored dress, Dad. I also wish I had the courage to send this letter, but I know I never will. Maybe because I don't want to hurt you. Maybe because I'm afraid that if you did know how I feel, you wouldn't stop. I'm terrified that you'd continue to post anti-liberal lies and hate in spite of knowing that every cruel meme you share is a slap in the face to everything I believe and a direct blow to me. I don't think I could take that. If you were to be okay with hurting me, I don't think I'd recover from it, because deep down, I'm still just a little girl who idolizes her dad. And I don't ever want to see you look at me again the way you did that night at Outback. So I won't speak up. And maybe that makes me a hypocrite. I mean, here I am mad at you for sharing lies, and I'm the one living one. Because every time I see you, when we talk about the cats or the weather or what you had for dinner, I'm pretending that everything is fine. But it's not. Something between us is broken. And you don't even know. Because I'm too damn scared to ask you one single devastating question. How can you hate everything I stand for and still love me? A daughter should never have to ask her hero that. And I blame Donald Trump.
In Posterity, written and performed by Laura Darling and directed by Joe Plock, the future gets a chance to research our current situation from an original source.
I have been thinking a lot lately about the future. When I do, my mind inevitably falls to this strange scenario. Now, stay with me. The year is 6385 or whatever. All of us are dead. The human population has been reduced to like an Atlantean-like myth with crumbled towers and markers and scars left behind on the earth. Now, another race, be it aliens or our evolved lineage, now looks back on these ancients of 2020 with wonder and speculation. And these people are so advanced and so enthralled by the secrets of our post-industrial Earth that they find a specimen of DNA somehow preserved like Jurassic Park style. And they resurrect a good old American citizen plucked from the dust of history to breathe again and explain the artifacts in the time that we lived in. Now, most people think of this wild scenario and picture themselves in it, calm, rational, explaining the fascinating tools and the lives of the era that we called home. You could point and laugh at their archaeologists' portrayals of a toilet. They probably think that we use them as shrines to some long forgotten god because, well, every home has one. Or that the ceremonial giving of mugs or tiny glasses from far off places to your loved ones and co-workers is used to ward off evil after a trip. Maybe they would present you with a hair tie and ask, what did humans use these for? Or maybe they would show us the barely decomposed carcass of casual plastic that haunts our international waters and ask, what cataclysmic evil did this to us? Is that how we all died off? Now, picture the DNA they found for this resurrected ambassador as Donald Trump. Picture this man with no natural predators in these waters as these beings hang on his every word and explanation as he lays out his version of history and events, spinning his own marvelous web of lies. And this blanket of bullshit is interwoven with the telltale signs of ignorance, racism, sexism, and hate. And these beings now believe his rhetoric is the single colored palette with which our entire era and population is painted with. What will they think of us? I think a lot lately about that question. They will hold up these unknown relics and show them to him, and he will finally get to give these advanced people the answers that they've all been clamoring for. They may hold up books with strange symbols in them, or kitchen tools that have baffled their scientists as to explanation. And then they may hold up this, miraculously preserved in the ravages of time, and ask, what was it for? Is this what caused the cataclysm? They'll ask. We found remnants of them all over your world amongst the wreckage. What were they for? It bothers me that I don't know what his answer will be, this resurrected ambassador. I don't know what will come out of his foul red mouth, but for some reason deep in my gut, I know it won't be right, or good, or kind, or honorable. I think about that scenario a lot. Here's another one. When I was in the 5th grade, I had to do a project for my history class. Mrs. Birch's assignment was to find someone in your family that was alive during World War II and ask them about their experiences. You got an instant A no matter what. All you had to do was call your grandparents and ask them what it was like when they were kids and write it down. Instant A. I made the mistake of asking my Grandpa Thompson first. He took it as some solemn duty to drag my poor, introverted, scared out of her mind 5th grade nerd ass to every person in town who was still sane enough to remember the war. In the end, he took me to see 8 people: nurses, mothers, soldiers, teachers, Army, Navy, you name it. They all brought us in for decaf or cocoa for me on cool October nights. This one man brought us in reluctantly. I had not yet encountered hesitation in any of these volunteers. My grandfather knocked on his door and said, "You don't have to talk to her, John, if you don't want to, but I wanted her to meet you." We sat in his tiny kitchen, his table, this beat up white 70s metal line table that showed the wear and tear of years of family meals. And my grandfather and him chatted for a while, and then he turned it over to me, his own Barbara Walters-like sidekick. And I tested the waters. And I asked him, what was it like during the war? And he told me. He told me for 3.5 hours. He was an American soldier stationed in France during what he called hell. In the end, he was crying hard tears into that same white worn table, telling this 5th grade girl what it was like to see the aftermath of war. What struck me most is how he spoke about the scraps of humanity left over from what the Nazis left behind. The people who had fought and died. He spoke about finding toys under bricks and praying that their owners were someplace far, far away. He combed through the wreckage of lives and homes and cities, all because some jackass in goose boots hat, he thought he was God of the assholes. And he cried to me. I think a lot about that night. I learned a lot about what the history books were trying to teach us kids. That these things happened not so long ago to real people. And now they were 5th grade history class assignments because us kids had no idea. Names in textbooks and places in black and white screamed into color to me. I was in 5th grade when I learned that people were hated for who they were put in cages and boxcars, and a lot of them died there. And that hate had a name. I think a lot lately about that too. I think about it because I know someday I'm going to get a knock on the door from some 5th grader who says they have a history project and want to know what it was like. What was it like? They'll ask, to live through 2020. Were you a mask person? Oh, did you get it? Oh, did you protest? And I'll talk about the pandemic, sure, and how we coped. But what will our history books say? How will this lesson end? That's the scary part, you see. It's not written yet, the end of our story. Will I get to tell my grandkid that a hate-mongering dictator rose to power, saluted all the way by like-minded fanatics, and that people were hated for who they were put in cages, and they died? Or will I get to end it the same way my soldier friend did? By telling me that it's okay now. Because a lot of people fought very hard, and some even gave their lives so it would stop. They say history repeats itself. I may never learn why it has to for us to learn anything. But we're in it now, the middle of that history book page. I wonder what the future will read. I fear for posterity, but I also hope for it. I hope. I hope.
Jean-Remy Monet shares with us his personal experiences in My Two Toxic Worlds.
This is how it all started. My good friend asked if I would write something for this event, and I told her, I can't write. Bullshit, she said. We're friends a long time, Remy, and you have already shared some of your experiences growing up in Haiti under the Duvalier's regime. Both Papa Doc and Baby Doc. Well, yes, I replied, I can tell you stories. I can tell you about the injustice and the fear of speaking out, especially about speaking up against a government that had been oppressing its own people for decades. I can tell you of my blood brothers and friends who lost their lives under the Duvalier's regimes. I can tell you about those who got thrown in prison for fighting for a little bit of free speech. I can tell you all of that. But I'm not a writer. I can't write that. I can only express and scream them out loud and cry for my people who fought the French army and defeated Napoleon to be the first free nations and abolish slavery. But I am not a writer. I can tell you how I was arrested and got whipped and abused as a 16 years old. I can show you the scar. I can relate to you about the tears and the sadness, about the shame of losing my pride and at having been dragged through the dusty street of Port-au-Prince by the Duvalier's secret police. My mother saved my life and brought me to the United States of America, the home of the free, the land of opportunities, the place where money grows on trees, as they say back home in Haiti. As a Black man, I found opportunities to go to school, find a job, live in a decent place, and buy a car. Yes, there are also opportunities to buy drugs and guns shoved in your face every day. A man like me can become a basketball star, a Broadway star, a movie star. Of course, I will have to work extra hard and sacrifice everything else to get there. Well, somewhere near there, nowhere near the white man. But how far up the ladder can I get? The system is built to dominate the Black man. The white man is already way ahead of me at the top of the ladder, with his foot on my neck, trying to keep me down. What I have experienced, totally different life in Haiti. Since I entered this country over 30 years ago, I'm being treated like a Black man, not as a man. White people chase us down and hunt us like animals because of the color of our skin. We are forced to categorize ourselves as Negroes, African Americans, people of color, BIPOC. And don't you see? It's the system profiling us, treating Black Americans different from white Americans. In Haiti, I was being oppressed as a man. I was thrown in jail as a man. People are being murdered as a man, but never because you are Black, never because you're a nigger, never because you are physically different from them. The system has never been perfect in this country. We have always had to fight for equality and against racism, and it has been around for 400 years. But there was little real progress until 2016, when things took a turn for the worse. The oppression, the racism, the killing, the fear every day. Am I going to see tomorrow? I rather get thrown in prison and be killed fighting for justice and freedom as a man in my Haiti than being thrown in prison or being murdered because of the color of my skin. My friend Colleen smiled and insisted, write it down, Remy. Tell me, I want to read it. Thank you for listening, Colleen.
Trump still wants to build his wall. Instead, he has a fence around the White House. I just hope it's not too high to throw Stephen Miller over. Won't Trump be surprised when one of his walls has bars on it and he's sharing a toilet with El Chapo? Trump likes to compare himself with Abraham Lincoln. But the only thing they have in common, neither of them could count on the Black vote. He's so opposed to Black Lives Matter, he wants to change the name of his residence to the White Privilege House.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Quinones on Black Lives Matter.
Chinese lives matter. This is true. Hindu lives matter. Yes, they do. Hispanic lives matter. Well. Blue lives matter. 100% agree with that. White lives matter. That is an astute observation. Black lives matter. No, all lives matter. No, Black lives matter. No. Black lives. All lives matter. Well, I'm not saying blacks are more superior. Just saying that they matter. Like, just like everyone else. Like at the minimum, Black lives matter though, right? Like we can agree on that, right? Okay, wow, please back off. I feel threatened.
Sarah Papini explained to us what it's like to work your way up on a downward trajectory in Richard Lander's The Striver.
Okay, let's do this. You got a pretty good gig here. What is it? $95 an hour? And you just sit and listen to me babble, basically not saying a word yourself? Yeah, I get it. The patient should be doing all the talking, not the therapist, but still. Okay, I see that look on your face. Okay, you're right. I'm wasting my time. I am a Trumpster, a trumpet, whatever you want to call me. And you gotta be a lib, so you've probably called me plenty of names. Do I have a problem working in this White House? No. As a woman, I hear you ask, how can I support this man? Well, pretty easily. I mean, of course he's depraved, but he doesn't hate all women, only those who don't do what he wants. And I am all about owning the libs. Well, that and pissing off the media. You're still giving me that, how can I as a woman support this man look? Don't bother denying it. You were giving me a look. Well, I don't think you should put all women in one box. Yeah, I'm not a mom and I don't have a family, but I support those people, or most of them anyways. The wall of moms, the rage moms. I mean, who the F are these people? They're not the moms that I know. The Women for Trump bus tour. I've helped those people, and they're good people. They're the reason I'm not worried about poll numbers. I've been out there with the people, the real people, and yes, those are the real Americans, not the New York, DC snobs. Why are you looking at me like that? You think I'm jealous? You think I want to hang out with the cool kids? I don't want to be one of them. Yeah, I used to think that way. But I decided my career was more important, and I was right. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a Republican, and I don't care who thinks otherwise. Of course, it's not easy these days. You saw the Republican convention had no platform. It's almost like Republicans have no principles, no opinions. It's all about Trump. That's all there is. Like, yes, that sounds like a cult, maybe. But I mean, look at the results. But back to me and my career. Nothing is more important to me. I've always been a striver. I've always had plans. You know, one of my plans was to become a blonde bimbo on Fox News. But you hit 30 and that's over. And then where do you go from there? Of course, a lot of them found rich guys to marry. So I guess that's not too bad. And I've had problems. Not my fault, but I still had to overcome them. When I was in Albany, I had 3 different bosses who got indicted. You know, that doesn't look great on a resume, you know. If someone wanted me for vice president down the road, that would come up in the vetting. I know. It's not realistic. Nobody's gonna want me for VP. I just need to get more known. I need the next job. I need to grab onto the next star. And who's that gonna be? Well, the best bet now is Donald Jr. or maybe Ivanka. Ugh, not Eric or Tiffany. They're not bright enough. And Jared, well, he's always going to the Prince Consort. Maybe it doesn't have to be one of the Trumps. Maybe Nikki Haley. I mean, some people think she's going to beat out Ivanka for first woman president. Or maybe it doesn't have to be presidential level. I mean, there's lots of opportunities. Now, take Nicole Wallace. She was a hero of mine when she worked for Bush and McCain, but then suddenly became a libtard phony baloney on MSNBC. I mean, how did that happen? And what do they say? If you can fake sincerity, you've got it made. I've been on TV. I'm pretty good at it. And what about Kimberly Guilfoyle? I mean, she went the other way, and boy, did she. I mean, did you see that woman? Did you see that speech on the convention? Holy God, what a speech. And she used to be married to the guy who's now governor of California. A big shot Democrat. And now she's the craziest of right-wing crazies. And to top it all off, she's dating Trump Jr. How crazy is that? But what a career. I mean, does she have any actual beliefs, any policy positions? No, but she's learned from the masters, the California echo phony do-gooders, the Newt Gingriches, the Steve Bannons, and yes, Donald Trump. I bet Kimberly thinks that in the long run, she's going to outdo Ivanka and become the true princess and eventually the queen. I mean, of course, to do that, she'd have to marry Don Jr. and then somehow push him aside. I mean, could she murder him? Oh my God, it's absolutely Shakespearean. That's not going to happen. No. Kimberly won't go that far. But could she do the opposite? In a bizarre way, I'd love to see that. For Kimberly to switch again. Yes. If Trump loses this election and the Trumps don't become our new royal family, then Kimberly dumps Junior and then takes up with some black up and coming liberal. Well, she'd have to be a good judge of political horseflesh. You know what I mean? Pick out a congressman, help him become a senator, and then run for president. But is she too old to try this? Maybe she's run out of time to do a second switch. But if she could, that would give me so much hope. And don't even get me started on how tough it is to be a woman in this business. Tucker Carlson doesn't have to fake sincerity. He's a total cynic, and everyone knows it. Well, almost everyone. I mean, not the viewers, I guess. And Laura Ingraham, I think she is totally sincere. And if Tucker got fat, nobody would even care. I mean, look at Rush. But if Laura got fat, woo-hoo, watch out. Career headed down the crapper and fast. So what about me? Is working in the Trump White House going to be a big plus like it was for the Obama people? Or is it going to be a huge negative? Redemption is possible, isn't it? I mean, Sean Spicer seems to be doing okay. He was on Dancing with the Stars. Well, he's not really a big star, but he hasn't been thrown off the island yet, has he? But what if Trump loses? What can I do? Could I pull off the kind of thing Nicole and Kimberly did, the big switcheroo? Or could I be stuck in Trump world because I don't have the balls that they did? Okay, you're making a face. The session must be over. This was helpful. You're good. You're very good. Same time next week.
There is a difference between weather and climate, and in Political Climate, written and performed by Steve Hannell, we hear just what the difference is.
Sometimes I wonder how we got here, all the unrest, the hate, the violence. The weird thing is, I can pinpoint it to one of the dopiest moments in American history. Do you remember when that guy, I believe he was what one might describe as a dumb asshole. Do you remember when that dumb asshole Jim Inhofe brought a snowball to the Senate floor? This was in 2015, so 5 years ago. This brainiac holds up a snowball and essentially says, "Well, looky here, Mr. President Barack Hussein Obama, snow exists. That means there's no global warming. Check and mate." Yeah, some true galaxy brain thought from the Honorable Senator of Oklahoma that day. I bring this up because as easy as it is to make fun of him, he really made one thing clear. There are people in this country who do not know the difference between weather and climate. That very same year, they all found a hero in Donald J. Trump. And when I say they don't know the difference between weather and climate, I don't just mean the environment, I mean everything. Every time a black person is murdered by police, what do they say? "Oh, he should have done this, she should have done that. The police officer was tired, the police officer was scared. It was tough to see that day, there was a curfew, it was the summertime. There was a knife on the scene, the toy gun looked real." And they make you believe it's the weather. They make you believe it's a precise set of circumstances, a unique snowflake of police brutality. Except this violence is not the weather, it's the climate. It's not a day, It's hundreds and hundreds of years. Years of slavery, years of profiling, years of the police being cuddle buddies with the Klan and nobody doing a goddamn thing to stop it. Years of bad cops protecting worse cops instead of their own communities. It's not the weather, it's the climate. And when it came to fascism, find people on both sides, right? That's what they said when a literal Nazi murdered a woman with a car at a march organized by more literal Nazis. But that Nazi was just the weather, right? Just a random freak occurrence. Except that after Trump and the GOP defended his little pals, guess what happened? They kept running people over. Cars hit protesters over 104 times during the Black Lives Matter protests. 43 of these incidents were proven to be 100% malicious and intentional. My brother was almost hit by a truck with a Trump flag when he was protesting in Glens Falls last June. Now, when I was protesting in Troy, we didn't have to worry about that. Nope. All we had to worry about was members of the New England Minutemen militia. You hear about this? Yeah, 2 guys arrested at the Black Lives Matter protest with loaded rifles, body armor, 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and ghost guns. Yes, happy Halloween, ghost guns! You know what ghost guns are? Custom-made firearms with no serial number, which makes them untraceable. What else did they have? Oh, one other thing, a burning desire to start a second civil war. Cool. Cool. Yep. According to the social media, they were Boogaloo Boys. More violent assholes who sound like they were named by a 6-month-old learning how to talk. The name is for Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo. Hilarious, huh? Kids were playing in those streets. What did the protesters bring? Oh, I don't know, fucking water? A dance party? We brought the noise, we brought the funk, but that's pretty much it. You only hear about the protesters breaking windows, though. Yeah, shame about those windows. The Reichstag had some really bitchin' windows, too. They were also broken by protesters. Funny how the history books don't dwell too much on that in the section about the Holocaust. The death of Heather Heyer wasn't the weather. It was the climate. They assured us Kyle Rittenhouse was just the weather, too. Just some poor kid who drove all the way to Wisconsin so he could wave an illegally possessed semi-automatic at protesters. It was really the fault of the victims, you know. They threw a Molotov cocktail at him, the right-wing media said. Yeah, except that Molotov cocktail turned out to be a plastic bag, and most of the people attacking him were only trying to stop an active shooter. But never mind that. He was just the weather. Domestic terrorism, what are you talking about? This is just one incident, just little old Kyle Rittenhouse. Forget about James Field Jr., forget about Robert Bowers, forget about Patrick Crusius, forget about Stephen Carrillo, forget about Elliot Rodger, forget about Frank Cali, forget about Scott Paul Bierl, forget about Jeremy Joseph Christian. It's just one bad day that is repeated over and over again in this Groundhog's Day nightmare. The Tree of Life shooting, deadliest attack on Jewish Americans in this country's history. El Paso shooting, deadliest attack on Hispanics in modern American history, both in the past 4 years. What Rittenhouse did isn't the weather, it's the climate. According to a recent study by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, 329 people were killed by right-wing fanatics and white supremacists in the past 25 years. This number does not include terrorism by racist cops. If it did, it would be much larger. By the way, the number of deaths Antifa has been tied to in the past 25 years, one person, which is not okay, but it's also not 329 people. So don't give me that both sides bullshit. You want to say it's just as bad? Show me the math or shut your dumb fucking mouth. You want to tell me I should be scared of Muslims? For the past 10 years, right-wing terrorists have killed more people in this country than jihadists. Fact. But I guess our president wants the Nazis in his corner now. In the debates, he told fascist street gang the Proud Boys to stand by for him, like they're, I don't know, awaiting further instructions on their little Dick Tracy watches. Shouldn't be a big surprise to anybody Trump's fixer, Roger Stone, hired them as his own personal security in 2017. You can still Google pictures of Roger and the boys flashing the white power sign at the camera. Is what we're seeing the weather? Or maybe, just maybe, after the birtherism, the Muslim ban, the zero tolerance family separations, the contempt for Puerto Rico, the shithole countries remark, the Mexicans are rapists remark, the Pocahontas slurs, the China virus bullshit, and the reverence he shows for Andrew Jackson, the guy whose treatment of Native Americans right here in America gave Hitler the idea for his own concentration camps. Maybe it's the climate. Oh yeah, you didn't know about Andrew Jackson? Yeah, Nazi Germany, just a shitty America cover band. Trump is changing the climate. He's not entirely responsible for it, nor is the Republican Party, but they are changing it. And that kind of climate change always creates a natural disaster, just like Hurricane Maria. And he's tossing out racism and misogyny and homophobia and transphobia and nationalism like the rolls of toilet paper. Little paper towels that will somehow help us clean up the messy bits of this country. That's all he's doing. That's all he's ever done. Will that change if he gets reelected? There's not a snowball's chance in hell.
According to Dan Smurlock in his piece, Gambling on America, betting is a matter of stats, not personalities.
Sorry, folks. Sorry. I'm frozen.
We can see you, Dan.
Okay. Well,
you're frozen. Can you?
I'm sorry. I can't get out of my screen and into the text. So maybe somebody wants to go instead of me. I'm sorry.
Message me. Let me know when you're ready, okay? Get yourself unfrozen.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got it. Ready to roll.
Go ahead, Dan.
There have been lots of explanations offered for why Donald Trump won in 2016, but I've come to wonder whether the karma of what I did during that election was so bad, so heavy, that it fucked up not just me, but the rest of America. I'm a professional gambler. I make my living betting on things, and what I bet on mostly is sports. Now, you cannot succeed as a sports bettor unless you've learned that serious gambling has no place for emotion or sentiment or politics. Professional sports has just as many fools, knaves, and morons as any other line of work, and you just can't afford to say, I'm not going to bet on that guy or on that guy's team because I can't stand him. The only sane way to approach it is to treat athletes as packages of statistics with proper names attached to them. What does all this have to do with Trump and the election? Well, by early fall of 2015, two things were clear. The first was that Hillary Clinton was going to lose the presidential election. It was already a known fact that every Republican in the country loathed her. But more importantly, the exact same thing was happening in 2015 that had happened in 2007. Clinton was thought to be a lock for the nomination, and then her own political party, was so freaked out by the prospect that they went out and found somebody else who hadn't been on their radar screen. And now, here we were 8 years later, and her own party, Her own party was so horrified by the notion of a Clinton candidacy that a geriatric Jewish communist was giving her a run for her money. In other words, about a third of her own party disliked her. Maybe they'd vote for her, but maybe they'd vote for a third party candidate. Maybe they'd sit on their hands. Maybe they'd vote for a Republican, but they weren't going to vote for her, most likely. I didn't see any way to make her numbers add up to a win. Meanwhile, by that time, it was also completely clear Trump would be the Republican nominee and would win the general election. I thought then, and I think now, that it's obvious why he won. For a large segment of the American male population, Trump is the ideal man. He is who they would be if they could pretend to be rich. This isn't because they're deluded fools who think he's some kind of deal-making genius. They know perfectly well he's a total fuck-up, and that is part of his charm. See, here's this guy who's dumber than his dumbest fans, who cheats on his taxes like they do if they could, who'd be a total nobody if he hadn't happened to have been born after his father, who has destroyed every enterprise he has ever touched, who can't string together two coherent sentences, who spends his day watching TV, eating junk food, playing golf, and doing no work, who prides himself on being aggressively uncultured and uninformed, and yet he has opinions on every possible subject, however little he knows about it. And he goes out of his way to express them aggressively and even viciously. And people listen and they heed them or else. And here he is, the leader of the free world, and he says anything that pops into his head, and he shares his rage with the rest of the world on a whim and does whatever the hell else he wants, including grabbing women by the... So what's not to like? Anyway, now we do not live in a civilized country, by which I mean more than just a country that is not run by a demented fascist pinhead. No, in a more civilized country, we'd be able to bet legally on whatever we want to, certainly including the outcomes of elections. In England, you can do that very thing. And one thing you can bet on in England is the American presidential election. I remember the exact date when this started to matter to me. October 21st, 2015, 5 years ago today. Purely out of idle curiosity, I checked out the odds against Trump being offered by the biggest British bookmaker. I wasn't expecting anything tempting, maybe 3-1, 4-1, but I discovered, oh my God, that it was 15-1 against an outcome I considered certain. This was the wagering opportunity of a lifetime. Now, do not get me wrong. I was just as appalled and horrified by Trump as anyone else. But Trump was the political equivalent of Tom Brady. My personal opinion of him was immaterial. He'd be a package of statistics, in this case, election returns, with his name attached to them. So I got in touch with Bill, one of my oldest and most trustworthy friends, who lives in London. I asked him to make the bet for me and offered to share the proceeds. He was happy to oblige. So that night, I wired him enough money to make the largest bet I have ever made in my life. No, I won't tell you how much it was. And the next day, he made the bet at 15-1 odds. The ensuing year was dramatic. At first, I lied to myself and told myself it was win-win. Either I'd make a fortune or we'd get a decent president. But as time went on and Trump got Trumpier, I found that I cared more about Clinton's winning than I did about winning the bet. So I was relieved after the third debate when it appeared that she had dodged the last bullet in Trump's gun. And yet, even then, in my heart, I knew, I swear, I knew that something would happen, though I didn't know what, and she would lose. And then James Comey happened. She did. The day after the election, I was on a plane to London, began drinking heavily, and didn't stop as I met up with Bill, split up the proceeds, and took the plane home. And I haven't stopped since. Oh, I've tried to make amends by contributing my winnings to Biden's campaign, but honestly, there's not much left of them. 2017 was a bad year for me, gambling-wise. 2018 was worse. 2019 was catastrophic, and 2020, it's hard to bet on sports when there were no sports to bet on. So that's my story. If you want to blame James Comey for the mess we're in now, no quarrel here. In fact, if you happen to run into him, smack him upside the head and give him an extra one for me. He deserves it. But if you want to blame me, well, I deserve it too.
Trump finally did something that many people had been wishing for. He got COVID and spread it to his staff. If you're the person who blew out their candles and wish they would all get COVID, would you wish for some money for me next time? It was reported that Trump had a low-grade fever. This is actually normal for low-grade humans. Before long, the president announced he was totally negative. The majority of Americans agree. His doctor said he was not out of the woods yet. Unfortunately, we missed our chance to build a wall around the woods, and the wildfires were all out west. He couldn't wait to get back to the White House because he really looked pale without his daily coat of Rust-Oleum. Now, Agent Orange is back to the white privilege house, and Melania is apparently okay too. By the way, did you know that Melania Trump has something in common with Bill Clinton? Yeah, they both blew some dope and wound up in the White House, and neither one admitted that they inhaled.
Before I get to the David Quinones COVID TikTok, I wanted to let you know that we had an inquiry from the audience about just buying one of the t-shirts. And I think Michael Schaefer is going to give us an update on where the donations are. And please don't stop donating. Every dollar is a separate ticket for getting the t-shirt raffle. But I'm going to post a way to get to reach out to the creator of the t-shirt and buy a t-shirt. And one of our actors, writers, Sean Baldwin, said he'll kick in. There he is now, Mr. D. Business is booming. Said he'll kick in $10 per shirt to the Biden-Harris campaign when we tally it. So if you do order one, make sure you say it came from the 5 years of Trump. Thanks so much, Sean. I'm going to post that. And now, David Quinones.
Sir, in order to accomplish Operation Don't Tell Anyone, we need to keep everyone inside and at least 6 feet away from anyone. I got it. We'll release a virus and name it after my favorite drink. That's brilliant, sir. I know. I'm amazing. Sir, people are getting restless, primarily the white people. They need their haircuts. What should we do? Release the murder hornets. But sir, just do it. Sir, now the black people are getting restless. Release the white people.
Okay, we have reached a total of $289 in our contributions to the campaign for Joe Biden and a chance to win the t-shirt. Please continue to contribute. Let's see how much money and how much of a difference we can make in getting Joe Biden to be our president and bring intelligence back to the country. The shirt was created by Ashley Garland of Ashley Creates. The link is in the chat box. Please follow that. Back to the stories. Melissa Hughes explains to her mother that the changes that have happened aren't necessarily the changes we were hoping for as she performs her piece, Legacy.
The summer's been so beautiful, Mama. The grass has never been so green, the sky so blue. I can't take enough photos of it all. I can't preserve all the beauty I see. And I feel like I have to capture these moments, like they're coming to an end, because they are coming to an end. And there are not enough hours in the day to enjoy it all before it's gone. Mama, I'm scared. I'm scared of losing. I'm scared and I am weary. I'm scared of what has happened in our country since you've left us. 3 years and so much has changed. You were convinced there would be change. You were so damn proud to see a non-politician, a man of the people, become president. We were at odds that whole year. I missed last moments with you for it. Sammy lost moments with her grandmother. And for what? That man, the one you thought would change our country for the better, has hurt so many lives. He spread so much pain and hatred. No, the pain and hatred have existed much longer than his time in office, but he has fanned those flames gleefully. If you were here, I know what you'd say. Those people, them socialists, they've created all this drama. It's blown out of proportion. All politicians lie. Get over it. But Ma, his brand of gleeful, boorish leadership has affected even those you loved. The kids and their spouses, your grandchildren, even close friends have fallen victim to it. Nick, he's so afraid of losing Rosa. I keep telling them she was born here, that she's a citizen, a first-generation American. She has nothing to fear. I keep reassuring them, but deep down, I'm afraid for them. May passed. I'm hoping she's up there with you playing cards. It was a heart attack. Apropos, as she was always telling me her heart was breaking. Oh, she worried about her boys, Nathaniel in Detroit and Lewis in Portland. We'd watch the news together, and every time that man, that leadless leader spoke, she'd cringe. She cried the day the President of the United States used the word thug when addressing protesters. Now, I remember the conversation you had with May when that happened with another president. Both of you were outraged. But this man, he followed that word with a cry of violence, rallying hate groups. He condoned hatred and killing with a call to arms. And I'll never forget May's face that day. Is this what you wanted when you voted for him? Is this the great America you envisioned? Your best friend died having seen systematic racism called out. She saw people fighting for equity, and she saw the leader of our country promote violence against those working to bring about change. I'm sorry, Mama, if I sound angry at you. I know I should not burden you in death with all of the problems of the living. I'm sorry that I'm bringing up old arguments, but I'm angry. I'm angry and I'm scared. Now I can forgive you for your vote. You were swayed, bamboozled, and you left us before the pain you could see the pain caused. You haven't bore witness to the despair, to the lack of leadership. But there are others who have been here with us, who have seen him ignore a pandemic, who have seen him make lights of millions of deaths, who have heard him talk nonsense while taking away their basic rights. These people have happily, ignorantly given up their rights, and they're going to vote for him again. You would have felt sorry for the man. You would have said something bad must have happened to him once. You would have thought that maybe he'd gone through a sickness, but you would not have voted for him again. I believe that. I have to believe that. You would not have thought he made the country great. But I'm still angry, Mama, even though you couldn't know, right? It doesn't matter. Damage has been done, and now we have to hope our future does not follow. But now, Mom, I have to end my visit. They're calling me over because I didn't just come to visit you today. Today is the day we're burying Sammy. She couldn't take the name calling, the fear, the bullying anymore. And you know, I have to admit I wanted to scream at you today, to hate you, even in death. I can't lay Sammy's death at your feet, at that leadless man's feet completely, but you both played a part. Sammy said once that she could not believe a man who made fun of someone because of their disability was president. She said that it gave people the idea that it's okay to make fun of differences, to hate people. And like May, she couldn't handle living in a world that thought nothing of hating people to stay on top. So she chose not to. And Mama, that's the great change. That's our great country. Your man of the people who only thinks of his own interests. God help me, Mama. That's your legacy.
Tony Pallone directed Siobhan Shea in Ryan Gangemi's work, Where Do I Belong Here? And we learn how a woman's personal experience gives her a different perspective on presidential behavior.
I told you things happened to me when I was young. I guess I was around 14 when Jay noticed me. He was my dad's best friend. Jay liked women, girls, who weren't quite. He wasn't a pedophile. A pedophile means you're interested in prepubescent children, and well, you know that. So, Jay wasn't a pedophile. He liked girls who were just starting, just starting to develop, everything like that. I was a late bloomer. I got everything late. At 13, I looked like I was 8. 14, that was different. I began to develop. Well, I also got really tall for a while. It's the only time in my life I have ever been tall. I was taller than other girls even. And I was all leg. I mean all leg. I felt pretty. I remember that. It was the first time I had ever felt that way. It was awkward, pretty. I had no idea what to do with myself with all that leg, but I liked it. And there was this boy in my class, Graham, just a sweet kid, really. And we had been friends, but when all this started, you could tell his feelings changed. He sort of worshipped me, and that felt good. And then Jay noticed, and he and Dad started hanging out a lot more. It lasted 3 years. At first, it was just touching me, my shoulder, my arm, my leg, and I was always wearing clothes. And he said these things, these really nice things to me. And I really liked him, I had grown up with him. He was my sister's godfather. And eventually it turned into rides places. He'd drive me around town with my friends, and he'd buy us ice cream and soda and beer after a while. And the whole time, the touching was getting more and more inappropriate. The first time he took my shirt off, he told me how pretty I had gotten and how good I looked with boobs. I actually thanked him. I just whispered it, but I thanked him. And when he touched me, I stood there. And I know how common it is. Years later, I saw him and I tried to talk to him about it. I don't know why. And he just said, "You never said no." I mean, I'm positive I did at some point. One of those times, eventually. But why should that even matter? I was a kid. Grab him by the pussy. He, honest to God, said that. I moved in on her like a bitch. He said that, and we voted him into office anyway. I mean, what the fuck, right? And now there are all these women, like 30 women or something, who are all accusing him of sexual assault. And oh my God, the girls in those pageants, the ones he'd walk in on changing. Jay went to jail. They caught him with some other girl he was doing the same thing to. Her dad caught him. Apparently, he almost killed him. And then They found stuff on his computer, like lots of stuff. Apparently he had been doing this to girls in his self-defense workshops. Here, let me show you what to do if someone ever does this to you. Yeah, that's right. Real good. That's a good girl. He did the same stuff with me. I'm lucky I never got pregnant. Christ, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what these girls are doing now with all the centers they're closing down. I worry about them. Nobody should have to endure. It's not some man's right to choose for us. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. They're just taking everything away from us, I mean, the president molests women and they don't care. Girls are raped into pregnancy and they don't care. Girls die in unwanted pregnancy and they don't care. And they have the nerve, the balls to claim that they're doing it in Jesus's name. Like Jesus, the real Jesus, would ever condone any of this shit. I had friends who were going to the Black Lives Matter protests when they were going full steam. I wanted to go to them, but I don't know, COVID, right? Just another thing they've fucked up royally. Anyway, my one friend, Alex, he got hit by this club baton thing some counter protester was wielding, nearly broke his skull. And they arrested him. They said that he had started the fight. There is no way Alex started that fight. He's a med student. He goes to church every Sunday. He was there handing out water, trying to help people who were hurt. He spent 3 days in the hospital and then he had to report to court. And he's white. These people, they don't care. They didn't care. They act like it's a black or white thing, but I think they hate white people supporting Black Lives Matter even more than they hate black people doing it. Race traitors or something, So, here we are, 4 years in, and our country has gone to fuck. We're violent and petty and sick, and we've got bigots and rapists, and they're not just out on the streets, they're in the White House. I mean, pretend. Pretend that 90% of what they say he's done is all made up, fake news. If 90% of it was made up, what does that leave? Because there is just so much. If we let him off on 90%, how many charges of treason or conspiracy or rape or sexual assault or any of it, how much is left? Because I bet that even at 10%, if 10% of it were true, he'd still be going away for a long, long time. I ran into Graham a few weeks ago. He's teaching now, 8th grade English. He directs the drama club. My niece is in the class. I told him, well, he asked me if I knew he'd had a crush on me. I told him, yeah, I did. He's still a really nice guy. I wish we could have stayed friends. I mean, we're Facebook friends now, but After I left, I kept thinking about it. And all I could do was think of Jay and what that whole time was like for me. I got lucky that he was arrested and put in jail. If only 1 in 4 assaults is ever reported, how do we make it stop? How many girls are out there carrying this bullshit with them? And when the President of the United States says it's okay, where do I belong here?
Trump claims that Antifa is marching on Washington. Does anyone know where I can get an Antifa application form? I actually went online and checked out Antifa.com. It took me to Joe Biden's campaign website. For real. Go ahead and check it out. And please make a donation. And listen, if there are any Trump supporters out there, CVS has been calling. Your hydrochloroquine refills are ready. And by the way, bleach and Kool-Aid are buy one, get one free this week. Good luck.
And it just so happens that our final David Quinones video features a Trump supporter. And he is...
Hey, Trump, 2020. Okay. Make America great again. All right. How was the flight? Terrible. Why? We had to wear a damn mask. Well, the whole flight. We're in a pandemic, so. No! This is ridiculous. What happened to my freedom? Hashtag all lives matter. Oh, you're just really jumping from one controversial statement to the other. You know who else believed all lives mattered? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christo. That's right. Yes, but the reason we say Black Lives Matter is because they're the ones still suffering from systemic racism, oppression, bigotry. Did you say bigotries? Yeah, them good for something in my throat. I'm sorry, where did you fly in from again? From the beautiful town of Stupid. Stupid? I think it's French. Stupid. Do you mean stupid? Ha! Exotic, ain't it? So you're telling me you flew in from Stupid Town? And what a lovely time we had, me and my wife Karen. That explains a lot. Sure does.
Holy crow. I don't know if you guys really want Biden to be president or you're really digging after that t-shirt. We have jumped to $479 since our last update. Thank you very much. That is phenomenal, and we greatly appreciate your contributions. For those that haven't, feel free to click the link in our chat box, make a contribution to the Joe Biden campaign, and get a chance to win that shirt. Our next piece is entitled 5 Years of Trump, Life's a Drag, and it's brought to life by Brendan Mack in a work written by Michael McDermott.
Oh my God. Hey, friends. Hi, lambs. Hi. It's good to see you. I'm just zooming in from Seattle just to report that contrary to popular beliefs, it is not and has not been on fire. So to all my family members who are praying for me, you can stop again. This isn't new. It's been 5 years. It has been 5 fucking years. And just putting up with the bullshit of this man and his cult and my damn family. It's been 5 long fucking years. But you know, his attacks on the community and all the ways that he's impacted his goddamn American Taliban. It's bullshit. Because to them, I'm the enemy. But, you know, that's not even the worst part of it. The worst part of it has been this daily process picking up like the rock of the day and watching all of like the scurrying insects just revealed. I mean, you always knew that there were insects there, but like before you could just kind of like look and be like, oh my God, I love that pink rock. And then it hits you that like there's this realization that there's like 4 out of 10 people around me on the bus, in the line at the Taco Bell, KFC, at work, my own goddamn family reunions. They're living completely different lives than I am. But he's just telling it like it is, you know, shaking it up. He's good, owning the libs. Christ's sakes. I just want to, if this is my PSA, if I wanted to hear a 74-year-old racist whine, I would just catch my Uncle Bill's act at Thanksgiving this year for free. Well, not for free, because the emotional labor is enough to drive any queen up the wall and across the ceiling, screaming like they have preparation H in their eyes. And for what? And what's the golden prize underneath his golden arches? You know, what do these people expect? Is it that they don't have to make wedding cakes for us? Or give affordable medications to people? Or God forbid, like some kind of substantial unemployment check because what, I'm lazy? I just want to stay home and drink myself into a comatose stupor. Honestly, if I had my druthers, I would be drinking myself into a comatose stupor anywhere else right now. But I'm not an airline or a manufacturing company that's grifting for a bailout. I'm just a snowflake looking for a handout. Though for real though, like this is a question I have. Can an airline just sell off a jet or to like pay off like the Tequila Sunrise bill this month? I mean, isn't that the point of capital? Like capitalism is to use your capital. Maybe I'm just a $12 idiot in a bad wig, hoping for another stimulus payout when some Fortune 500 company rests easy and the rest of us suckers have to sit in like the cold and the dark. It's been like really particularly hard on the drag community this year. And most everyone I know supplements are crappy hourly day jobs, but performing nights and weekends, except now it's just nothing. There's like this, like whatever this is. And I can slap on my Venmo up there and I can dance around to some Amy Winehouse song. And y'all be like, yes, work, girl. But at the end of the night, I will truly know that there is nobody listening because I've got the receipts. $12. And there's a lucky few like burlesques and drag queens. They're making it work. But then it's like $12 is the difference between showing up and going through all of this or just giving up. But then I see their carnival barker on TV and he's telling me that this economy is the best it's ever been. The best in the world. For who? I feel like I've been living through these last 4 years chipping away at our rights. You remember that? Oh my God. You remember? That was fun, right? Those little bits of equality that we were able to pull out of the tiger's mouth that have slowly been subsiding. Yeah, that's where my Uncle Bill and their red hats, they can just cheer on. But don't stress, sis, because Mike Pence can't sleep at night unless he knows that no one's going to make him a gay wedding cake. Oh. Hello. Do you guys remember that night? Middle of the night, everyone's phones were going off, blowing up because Trump had, in this karmic twist of fate, caught COVID. And everyone I knew was like celebrating. Just like It was midnight here, and everyone I knew was going into a full-on celebration. And I felt so alive. I mean, you felt that. This wave of optimism. Did you feel that sensation of this like long dormant hibernating feeling that something was happening? I don't have a lot of days when things happen. I feel like I'm Bill Murray waking up in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, hearing I've Got You, Babe for the millionth time. And something happened that night. Something, anything, just everything. For the first time in months, we felt something that was different. We saw our friends and our family members celebrating that for once, this sack of shit, this embarrassment as a president and world leader whose followers believe that in their hearts that he has a direct line of communication to God herself, is seeing God's divine plan and action. And I cried. I don't cry. I cried that night. So everyone in my life was feeling this glimmer of possibility, this nightmare that we've all been living could finally be over. And don't we deserve that? You know? To feel like things could get better. I made it a point not to shame people for feeling their feelings. Celebrate, be out and proud, and just be bursting with celebration. We have been locked in our houses with the same nonchalant wave of the hand that locked children in cages at the border, the same nonchalant hand wave arresting and condemning and killing marginalized people struck down over and over by racists and bigots and transphobes. I have personally never wished death on anyone. I may have said it a lot about Stacey Starstruck, London Bradshaw, Cookie Couture, most of the Thursday night girls at Neighbors, but I never meant it. Like in my heart, I didn't mean it. I've never wished that someone would die because they are just a product of their environment. They represent a time and a place in the lifetime of the human race. So no, wishing death on someone, that's tacky. But what I am wishing is that this feeling doesn't go away. This feeling that my friends are having stays at least for a little while because, God damn it, I need a little hope. I need a lot of hope. I need bountiful hope. Oh, fuck yes. Lift each other up. Your feelings are valid. And tip me more than $12 fucking dollars, dear God. There she is. So, in closing, don't stop feeling. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye.
Now, boys and girls, it's time to settle in and tune in to everyone's favorite evening show, The White House. It's your house too, with your favorite TV hostess, Miss Fanny.
Good evening, children, and welcome to the White House. It's your house, too, with Miss Franny. I'm so glad you could join us this evening. As many of you already know, I'm Miss Franny, and I am the Deputy Appointment Secretary to the 39th President of the United States, James Earl Carter, Jr. This is my favorite time of the week, and the President's, too. We were just talking about that the other day. You see, the White House is the Carter family's home while he is president, but it belongs to all the American people. So we put together a little tour for you, and even though you won't get to see everything, it will invite your imagination and your knowledge of history to fill the rooms with past presidents and their families. So let's get started. Just one moment while Miss Franny gets her little Kodak slide carousel ready for you. Okay, the White House. It's your house too. And if you could be here for this tour in person, you would be one of almost 6,000 visitors who walk through each day from 10 a.m. to noon, except Sundays, Mondays, and holidays. Amy enjoys living in the White House very much, and she often spends time with her family, reading, swimming, bowling, or seeing a movie. But they also work on projects together, like designing Amy's treehouse or spending time in the Rose Garden. What a sweet picture of Amy and her dad, isn't it? Now for my favorite place, we'll visit, well, it's not my favorite place. This is one of my favorite places because of the color. It's blue. And this is where the president officially receives leaders from all around the globe to discuss foreign affairs. But what I like about it is that if you look out the window at Easter time, you can see the almost 16,000 people who participate in the Easter egg roll, the annual Easter egg roll, right here on the South Lawn. Very good time. Now for my favorite place. My truly favorite place, the Jacqueline Kennedy Garden, planned by Mrs. Kennedy while her husband was president. It was created for press conferences and social gatherings, but Mrs. Kennedy had more in mind for this garden. In fact, in this less than a quarter-acre plot grows many of the herbs from the White House kitchen. I know that Mrs. Carter loves this garden and would never want to change a thing. Who would? Well, I'm tired of walking around and walking around the White House and giving you this tour. So I am going to go to my next favorite part of the show, which is reading your letters. Let's see what we have here. All righty, all right. One moment. Okay, so this first question comes from, let's see, from Roseanne, on Long Island. Roseanne asks, how many presidents have lived in the White House? Well, that is a very good question, Roseanne. In fact, every president who has been in office has lived in the White House, except for George Washington. When he became our first president of the United States, the White House wasn't complete yet. I guess you can tell your friends that George Washington did not sleep here. The next question comes from Evan in Albany, New York. Is it true that Melania Trump basically destroyed the Rose Garden by pulling out all the beautiful flowers and trees and leaving it as dull and lifeless as a non-denominational mausoleum on the side of the Jersey Turnpike and as contagious as a Petri dish? What kind of a question is that? Young man, I don't think anyone would ever do such a thing. Mrs. Kennedy's garden is a national treasure, and I think you've been watching too much television. No more late show for you, young man. All right, let's see what we have now. Let's see. Oh, here's a very sweet one from Timmy. Timmy asks, how many pets are living in the White House? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Timmy. Almost all the presidents have had pets here. The Carters have a dog named Grits and a cat named Miss Malarkey Yang Yang. Isn't that cute? Let's see here now. What else does Ms. Franny have in her little bag here? Oh. Just hold on 1 minute while Miss Franny finds the last letter that she wants to read in this bag here. Miss Franny has her own secretary who's going to help her find her special mailbag. And if you want to take a moment to contribute to the Joe Biden campaign and enter a raffle for a very nice t-shirt, now is a great time.
Where is it?
It's on one of the,
Well, I don't understand.
it's in one of the browsers, but it disappeared.
PowerPoint or something.
It's in Chrome. There it is. All right. Oh, man. Okay, now I'm good now. Thank you. All right, sorry for that small technical interruption. Here's our last question, and this is from Jen B. It says, is it true that the latest Supreme Court, if the latest Supreme Court nomination goes through, that Roe v. Wade will be overturned, that the laws protecting the rights of gay and transgendered individuals will be dissolved? And do you think he'll get reelected? And then what, another pandemic? More white supremacist hate crimes? And what about systemic racism? How will we ever be united as a country without addressing our imperialist origins based on slavery? Well, these are very difficult questions to answer. But Miss Franny does have something of a confession to make. I know that President Carter is not the current occupant of the White House. And I know that some things have changed since I've worked here. But there is something I want to tell you. You are good. You are kind. Remember the golden rule. You have a right to an education and to learn about our democracy and to participate in our democracy. Your life matters. Black lives matter. Your body belongs to you, and you get to decide how to use it. Stand up to bullies, and don't be a bully yourself. I lost it again. And now, boys and girls, it's time for the end of our show. My secretary is going to help me bring up my slides again.
There's certainly this button right here.
Oh, let's see. I don't understand these devices.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. I better share my screen so it'll go away. Did it go? Oh, here we go. All right. Thank you very much. I'm presenting. Okay. Now it's time for the end of our show. And I'm so glad that you could join us. And this is my favorite part of the show as well, where I ask, President Jimmy, tell me true. Will America decide to vote red or blue? Good night, children. And remember, this country is your country. And the White House is your house too. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for 5 years of Trump. Sorry for the technical difficulty there.
That's our show.
Yes. Yay. You guys are really wonderful tonight, and we got some great donations. Let me check the numbers again.
Where are we with the numbers? We're doing so well.
Yeah.
500?
Look at all these
over
beautiful
500.
faces.
We were at 529, and now we are at $554. Woo! Ooh, we could get to 600 before we sign off. Any last minute?
Well, when Miss Franny was having some difficulties and suggested people give donations, I put it in the chat again. So,
Thank you.
But I think this audience, Tony's encouraging 600 before we sign off.
Where 600, 600, 600. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Yeah, what a great turnout.
Oh, we have a hand raised. Go ahead, Myrna. What would you like to ask? Would you like to just unmute yourself? Myrna? Maybe not. Go ahead.
Is it a hand up or a wave?
Maybe it's a wave.
She wants to know about the screwdriver you're holding, Sean.
So I'm assuming she doesn't mean the cigarette. I'm guessing she means the scythe. You could drive a screw, but very inefficiently. It would take you quite a lot of time. If I were going to do it, I would use the pointy end and just kind of, sort of like when you have like a flathead screw and you use a butter knife to kind of work it. I guess you could do it with this end. But in all seriousness, is there anything that you actually want to know about this? It's
What do you, Judy and Rich, what do your hats say?
Make America sane again.
I like it.
Wonderful.